Okay, so it's been a while since I did an update on the car. Now that it's winter time and the car's up in the garage, I got a little bit extra time on my hands. I figured I'd do an update video and kind of tell you guys, what all's done to the car, what upgrades I made to it this year, and how well it did this year. So at the start of the year, the car I was leaving on the foot brake. Had the on 376 65 turbo on it, and I think I was on 13 pounds. The car was able to do, I think my best time was a 6.8 at, I want to say 104 miles an hour. As the year progressed, I turned the boost up a little bit with that same setup I just talked about with the on 3 turbo. I think I got the car up to 18 pounds, and my best time off the foot brake on 18 pounds was I believe it was a 6.28 at 111. I felt like I was starting to max the on 3 turbo out, and I really like the precision turbo, so I went ahead and I put this precision 7675 billet wheel turbo on the car, and I also went ahead and did a trans brake while I was putting the turbo on because I was having issues launching the car off the foot brake. I couldn't really build a whole lot of boost, so I decided to go ahead and put the trans brake in. Took the car out. I had some growing pains with the trans brake and the turbo, and I found a couple of boost leaks, and I finally got the car to start running right, learn how to launch it. I had to make a couple of suspension changes when I put the trans brake in because with the trans brake, the car hits the tires a little bit different than whenever you're leaving off the foot brake. So I had to take a little bit of anti-squat of the rear end and make some shock adjustments and whatnot. Nothing too crazy. I made one adjustment and the car, completely turned around. I went from cutting like 1.4 60 foots to mid 1.3 to low 1.3 60 foots. Turned the car up to like 20 pounds with this precision turbo, and I think my best time on 20 pounds was a 6.1 at, I want to say 112 or 113 miles an hour. Turned the car up to like 23 pounds, and I went a 6.08 at, I want to say 113. With a kind of a shitty 60 foot, a 137 60 foot, I believe. And then the best time of the year, I took it out to Bowling Green. I want to say about a month ago, I took it out to Bowling Green, which is a quarter-mile track, and the car ended up running a 9.3 at 143 in the quarter mile on 24 pounds of boost with 10 degrees of timing. So it was really soft timing setup. With that much boost, I wanted to, keep the car safe, and I didn't get a chance to turn the car up anymore because that last run it the car blew an exhaust gasket, and I was pretty much done for the day. I didn't have a gasket to replace it, and it's kind of a job. You got to take the turbo off and take a few other things off to actually replace that gasket. So I figured I would go ahead and call that a success and an end to a successful year. But the car also on that pass, the car did a 596 at 116 1/8 mile with a 1309 60 foot. I mean, the car was, it was lifting the front wheels, I want to say about a foot off the ground, probably close to the 60 foot mark. It was rolling. So, I was very happy with it. So the way the car sits now, it's a Texas block 4.6 with a stock Cobra crank in it. I had it polished. It has MMR I-beam rods. They're cheap I-beam rods. They're supposedly rated to 750 horsepower. I'm not too worried about it. I'm probably going to push them past that point. It's got Wiseco pistons in it. The heads are PI heads. I want to say they're a port match on the intake side. There's not really a whole lot of work done to the, or there's actually no work done to the combustion chamber on these heads. And I think there might be a little bit of exhaust port work, and that's really it on the heads. I had someone custom spec some cams for me. It actually goes by, his name's Todd Warren on Facebook, and I think he goes by NASVT on a couple of the forums. Really happy with the cams. It was a completely different car when I put those cams in. I want to say they're a 232, 233 duration with a 109 LSA. And a lot of people ask me why the 109 LSA, which evidently goes against a lot of people's train of thought on a turbo cam, and I honestly don't know. Todd knows what he's doing. I asked him or I told him, you know, what I wanted, the kind of performance I wanted out of the car, you know, what I was going to be doing with the car. And, you know, I gave him, you know, the size of the turbo, what kind of intake I'm running, you know, transmission, blah, 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 all of that stuff. And he spec'd the cams for me. And they've been, you know, they've been working really great. So I don't have any complaints with them. It has a Edelbrock intake. It's got the 6061 aluminum plenum. It's a really nice piece. And also I'll get down here and show you guys the turbo. See if I can see the compressor wheel in there. Yeah, it's a billet wheel. I mean, this thing is nice. I'm really happy with this turbo. The hot side is it was an on 3 turbo kit that I did a couple upgrades to. I put the Precision, I want to say it's a 46 millimeter wastegate on it. Once again, the turbo, and I want to say I probably upgraded a couple of the lines. The remote oil filter, the oil filter relocation kit, I upgraded the lines from rubber to like a braided nylon line. It has ID 1000 cc injectors. It's running on E85. That's pretty much it under the hood. The car looks a little bit different right now because I'm actually in the process of putting the Holley EFI in it, the HP computer, and I'll probably talk about that later on in a different video. But that's under the hood, and then we'll go on back and I'll talk about the transmission. It's got a 4R70W transmission in it. Nothing too crazy. I got the transmission from a guy off Corral. Supposedly rated to 750 horsepower. I put a Freddie Brown Performance manual valve body in it. It has a Circle D 4C converter. It's supposed to be a 3800 roughly stall converter. It has, you know, I have a good transmission cooler up here in the front, which is vital. That's a huge deal when you start talking about a performance transmission. Is you want to keep it cool. So I want to say this transmission cooler is at least a 30,000 gross vehicle weight cooler. So works really well. My transmission temps never get above probably, I mean, even on a trans brake, which causes a lot of heat, I never see transmission temps above probably 180. So it's a really efficient cooler. Let's go down here and see if I can show you anything. You can see the hot side right here. A lot of people complain about the on 3 hot side. I haven't had any issues out of it. I heat wrapped it, as you can see. I have a UPR tubular K-member under the car, UPR coilovers, and that is like I want to say that's a 14 by probably 150 spring. Had really good success with them. The car transfers weight really well. So we'll move on back. Don't mind all this wiring mess I have in here. It's kind of in the process of cleaning it all up with the Holley EFI install. Right here on the car, I made it out to one of my goals with this car, and this was the first year that I was ever able to do it, was to make it out to the NMRA World Finals in Bowling Green. I've been a couple of times, and it was always kind of like a goal of mine to make it and run in the True Street class. So I made it up there, and I ran the 10.0 index. I came in 3rd place with the 10.0 index with like a 10.034 average. So I mean, it was a really, you know, stiff competition. I did the best I could, and I was happy with, you know, my performance there. And then I had my buddy Bryce make me some vinyl numbers, because I get tired of writing on my windows with window chalk when I go to the racetrack. I don't have the seats in the car right now. I'll talk about a little bit about what else is in here. And you can see the Holley digital dash over there. Freaking awesome piece. I'll talk about that later. But one thing that I did have in the car this year was I upgraded to a boost leash and bump box for the trans brake, and it's all inside of this. It's called a boost leash slash pulse leash, and it's all in that one box. So basically it's a time-based boost controller, so I can program, you know, when the boost comes in at a certain time, and I want to say that the controller activates when it sees 1 or 2 psi boost, and you know, I can program to have the boost, you know, come in a linear fashion, or I can bring it all in as fast as I want, you know, however the track conditions are. This car doesn't really make enough power to need to ramp boost in a lot on a good prep track, so I usually just ramp it, you know, as fast as I can. What else? Let's see. Right there, my shifter and console is kind of ripped apart right now. But it's a Hurst, or it's not a Hurst. It's a B&M hammer shifter. It's supposed to go in the stock location on the automatic Mustang GTs. I had to do a little bit of modifications to this one because my car was originally a 5-speed. And the 5-speed cars, the tunnel has an extra piece of metal. So I actually had to push this shifter up through the bottom to actually mount it in the car. Also new to the car that I don't think I put it in my videos this year was it's got a Maximum Motorsports 6-point roll cage in it. Really nice. I'm actually too fast for this cage now, but I don't really have the money to put an 8-point in it, or a 10-point. This year, so I'm probably just going to run some more 8th mile stuff next year, and because this cage is only certified to a I want to say it's a 640 in the 8th mile and a 10.0 in the quarter mile, so yeah, definitely not within the NHRA regulations as far as this roll cage goes, but it's a really nice piece. It's bolt in. I actually had it welded in, had my friend Rusty weld it in for me. Really nice piece. I would highly recommend it. The rear seat's out of the car right now. The rear seat was in the car all year. I'm actually deleting it now. I want to say I can drop off probably 30 or 40 pounds off the car by taking the rear seat out. So I'm going to do a Scott Rod fabrication rear seat delete whenever I get some freed up money. That's really it for the inside of the car. I'll show you the seats that I have. They're the Kirky Pro Drag seats. I got junk sitting in them right now because, like I said, the car's tore apart. Really like these things. They're a really lightweight aluminum seat, and then you can buy these covers to go on them. And I want to say I probably drove at least an hour or more in these things, and you know, my back didn't hurt, my butt didn't hurt. They're really comfortable for what they are. Moving on back, I'll talk about the rear end. I'm running a Mickey Thompson 275/60 Pro Radial. You can actually see the lines in the tire where it wrinkles. I've actually got a picture over on my wall of the car launching at Radial Fest, and you can see the tires wrinkle. But I mean, it's pretty cool. And these things hook, man. I mean, mid 1.360 foots to low 1.360 foots consistently with this thing. Ever since I got it lined out. Awesome tires. I'll be going to them. I'll be getting a new set come springtime. I can't really get under and show you the rear that much, but it's a 8.8 rear. It's got the Mosier 31 spline street axles in it with a stock Ford 31 spline diff. I rebuilt the clutch packs in it this year. That's really the only thing I did to it. It has a CHE brace on it, and it's got a Ford Racing diff cover on it. And I'll try to get under the car and show you guys what it looks like under here. If you can see. Oh yeah, I guess I should talk about the suspension too. It has Team Z double adjustable lower control arms, and it has baseline suspensions anti-roll bar, which you can see the links hanging down right there. It has baseline Outlaw relocated upper control arms, which are really cool because they've got these instant center plates on them. 2 different sets of plates, and you can move that upper control arm and change your instant center of the car, which, you know, in turn changes your anti-squat value and all that good stuff. It has a Ford Racing aluminum drive shaft with it's got 1330 U-joints in it. This winter I'm probably gonna take the rear out, have the axle tubes welded. I'm gonna go to a spool and C-clip eliminators, and I'm gonna do a custom drive shaft with 1350 U-joints in it, just so that I know the car's ready to take the abuse I'm gonna throw at it next year. There's the fuel tank. There's really nothing to see there, but I can talk about what's inside the fuel tank. So for fuel pumps, I've got a Division X. Let me get up. I've got a Division X billet hat with a dual Walbro 450 liter per hour pumps. I think they're 450 or 465 liter per hour pumps. They're supposed to be the E85 safe pumps. Like I say, you need a big fuel system when you're running E85, which I think I actually was starting to reach the limits of the ID1000 injectors anyways. But that's the good thing with the Holley FI is I'll be able to see what my, you know, how hard I'm pushing the injectors and stuff. I couldn't see that with the stock ECU. So, also got the Optimum red top right here with the battery mounted in the trunk, and a whole bunch of janky looking wiring back here right now. I actually don't have the meth hooked up anymore. It's still in the trunk, but I actually need to pull it out of the car and probably put it up for sale, recoup a little bit of money off of it, and do some different modifications to the car. And right here you can see all my stickers. This is where I hide all my horsepower at right here. See, you don't know every one of those stickers is like 25 horsepower. And don't no one know they're under here. So that's where all the power comes from. Right there. But that's really a good recap of the car and how, you know, how it was this year. I actually got a chance to put it on the scales, and it was right around 3,200 without me in it, and I'm about 200 pounds. So you figure it's about 3,400 pounds race weight. So I'm really happy with how the car worked this year. I'll probably do another video, you know, right after this one, talking about the modifications I'm doing to the car right now, and probably some of my plans for next year. Yeah, that's all I got for this video. So see you guys in the next one.